Welcome back, teammates. This is part 3 of our How to Fix Your Credit series. If you didn't catch parts 1 and 2, they'll be linked in the cards as well as at the end of the video. In parts 1 and 2, we defined a credit score and discussed the components of what is harmful or helpful to the overall score. We talked about a few ways you could manage your credit score by making more than minimum payments, paying on time, and reducing spending. To be able to successfully manage this, we need to first create a budget.
Here's a quick starting guide to making a good budget. You might have to tweak it for your individual needs, and you might have to readjust it from time to time. This particular guide came from Bank of America's website, and it offers a solid plan. Good news, most credit card companies and banks offer some sort of budget plan for anyone seeking to create a budget. It doesn't cost any extra. You can even access a budget plan from a bank even if you are not a customer. To access budget plans, you generally do not have to log in. Just go to the bank's website and look for anything that talks about budgeting and saving money. First, we're going to list 6 steps to making a good budget, and then we'll talk more in detail about each step. Step 1, calculate your net income. Step 2, track your spending. Step 3, set realistic goals. Step 4, make a plan. Step 5, adjust your spending to stay on budget. Step 6, review your budget regularly and revise as needed.
The first step is to calculate your net income. Long story short, it's just the take-home pay. Don't count the gross. The gross is what you make, and you're grossed out after you see the taxes deducted, okay? You're counting the take-home pay. That's your income. Step 2 is to track your spending. The easiest way is to categorize your expenditures. Let's just scroll down a bit. Of course, the expenditures are related to your expenses: rent, mortgages, car payment, insurance, amenities, etc. Now, the third step is setting realistic goals. As much as we want to save, we have to acknowledge that in this economy, most households might not be able to save as much as they want to. So if you're making $2 or $3K, then you cannot save $2 or $3K. You have to be more realistic about what you can actually set aside without considerably decreasing your quality of life. Because what next? I was getting ready to go on a rant. Next, step 4 is to actually make the budget plan. If you look at this guide here, the first thing I would suggest, of course, is you write down your net income. The way I remember gross versus net is the way I said it before. I'm grossed out when I see that I made a lot of money and taxes are taken out of it. And then the rest is what I caught in a net to take home with me. There are 2 categories of expenses here, but I think most people might end up with at least 3 categories. Of course, you have your fixed expenses that are the same pretty much month to month, versus the variable expenses, which are things that change depending on circumstances. And then you'll need a category for wants, maybe shopping or going out, or you know what y'all be wanting to do. After calculating your net pay versus the expenses, compare the numbers. Ooh, who made this? The take-home pay is $4,000 and the expenses are $4,000. There's no wiggle room, which unfortunately could really be a realistic experience. They give some examples of budget plans or budgeting ideas. Each example caters to a different type of person. For people who might not necessarily want to deal with writing things down and keeping track of expenses versus income, you might do the pay yourself first budget. That's where as soon as you get paid, you put a little bit or however much you want to in savings, a specific amount in your savings account. Then you pay the bills, and for anything's left over, you use it for your wants. This method seems a bit gambly to me because if you put too much in your savings account, then you might end up having to pull money out, which could make you feel like you're not saving, which could throw off the process. Or if you don't put that much into savings in the beginning, then you could also still feel like you're not making any progress. The zero-based budget is for people who are the complete opposite. This method reflects the image up there where the expenses and the income are exactly the same. It doesn't mean that you just spend every dollar you have. It just means that every dollar has been accounted for. Whether or not you like this budget depends on how restricted you'll feel, knowing that every dollar has a purpose and there's not much left for chance.
I'm gonna be honest, this intermission is here because when we were watching it back after editing, I found this big empty space and I refused to move everything over because there are multiple lines and I would have to redo everything. Sorry, skip ahead.
The envelope budget is for people who might not be as disciplined as others, and the idea is that you put the money in an envelope, and once the money in that envelope is gone, then there's no more spending for that category. So you put your bill money in one envelope, you can put eating out money in another envelope, you can put shopping money in a different envelope, and once the envelope is empty, no more spending until the next pay period. It's not thoroughly explained in the article, but the methods I just went over are different ways of setting the money aside versus just having it in one lump sum in the bank account and paying for things that way. Of course, you can use any method you want. These are just ideas. However, the 50-30-20 budget suggests that you divide your expenditures into 3 different categories: 50% needs, 30% wants, and 20% savings. Of course, you can always make changes depending on your specific circumstances. Which brings us to steps 6 and 7, which we combined: adjusting your spending to stay on budget and reviewing your budget regularly. Always account for life changes: new job, lost job, new bill, paid off debt. Now, here's an extra tip for those of you who may have asked, based on our suggested tip in part 2, where am I supposed to get this extra money from to pay additional money over the minimum amount due?
You have questions? I have answers. This tip is actually a method that can be coupled with whichever method you've already chosen, and it's called the snowball effect.
This is how it works. If you look at the chart, you'll see that you're paying on each of these debts individually, right? After you finish paying off one debt, you'll take the money that you were paying with that debt and move it down to pay on the next debt, eliminating this debt that much faster. Then, after you finish paying off one debt, you take 2 of the money back. So 2 of the payments, the payment that you were making on the first debt, plus the payment you were making on the second debt, and combine it to the third debt, which means you'll essentially be making triple payments and getting the debt paid off that much faster.
You could also go from the reverse, putting everything you have, give me what you got, into the biggest debt, and then you can decrease, of course, once you pay that off, decrease to go to the medium debt, and then easy peasy pay off the last smallest debt.
Implement these tips and you'll be on your way to improving your credit score,
which will roll over into improvements in other aspects of your life. If you made it to the end of this video, leave the money with wings emoji or the credit card emoji in the comments. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy this content. Fret not about the annoying upload dings. We mute notification uploads so you are not bombarded. Also, be sure to check out our channel because we have tons of great videos in different areas on different topics. If there are some other concepts you would like us to do a video on, let us know in the comments. Catch you in the next one. Okay, thanks. Bye.